Hey, everybody, welcome back into today's broadcast of You Are Enough. It's great to be here with you. Listen, to those of you who suffer in silence, you suffered in silence and nobody knew it. Nobody had a clue what you were going through with because what you had to deal with, God called you to suffer with it in silence. He called you to keep it. He wanted you to keep it. He wanted you to suffer in silence because he did not want you to overshare and expose yourself prematurely so the enemy couldn't get his hands on you. But listen to this. This is a prophetic word for somebody. The prophetic word for you today. Yeah, they did you bad in secret. They did you real dirty in secret. You suffered in silence for it. But God says you're getting ready to be rewarded publicly. And not only is God going to reward you publicly, God said he's going to give you a double fold blessing. Because for your former shame, God said he'll give you double for your trouble. This is what you can expect, family, for your former shame. Listen, this is what you can expect for your former shame. You know, sometimes when God deals with you in the wee hours of the morning, when you're just going about your day, you know, the Holy Spirit will give you these unctions in your spirit, and you don't want to rely on your own memory because you don't want to miss out on what God has for you and the people. I want you to know every word that God gives. It's just like when I minister before the Lord or minister before his people, that word that is being preached, I eat that word before I give it to the people. This is your word today, those of you who are tuned in. God is getting ready to reward you publicly with a double fold blessing. And God is going to make the enemy put some respect on your name. Do you hear me? God is going to make people put some respect on your name. Yeah, those that drug your name. God said, I'm going to make the enemy put some respect on your name. So what do you have to look forward to for all the former shame that you had to go through with? For the people that done things in secret, to the people that tried to undermine you, God said, I'm going to bring all this stuff to the forefront. To every person that tried to undermine you, even on your job where you work, so you can lose your job, so you can lose your freedom, so you can lose your peace of mind. God said, I'm going to let them put some respect on your name, and I'm going to reward you publicly in the face of all your enemies. People are irritated and they're very agitated by your silence. Every time you feel heavy, y'all listen to me, family. Whenever you feel heavy in your spirit, God tells us for the spirit of heaviness, he said, wrap yourself in a garment of praise until you get lost in God's presence. When you get lost in the presence of God, you're going to forget everything that ever went wrong. You're going to forget everything that is going wrong. And you're going to forget everything that has the potential to go wrong. Did you know that God hid you on purpose? God intentionally hid you in purpose. And why did God hide you on purpose? God hid you privately because he didn't want to expose you prematurely. He did not want the world to see you and what you possess prematurely. I know you've suffered, family. You have suffered in silence. You've suffered in silence. But whenever you suffer in silence, this is what has led you to conceal a lot of pain that you've gone through with behind closed doors because you're so used to people prejudging you. You're so used to this. For everything, listen, family, for everything, I mean, people judge you for every single thing that you can even imagine. But before you get to this level, God is going to let your enemies see his hand rest upon your life because you held your peace, because you shut your mouth, because you didn't retaliate, because you turned it over to God, because you gave it to God. He heard you and he answered you. When you cry out to God, he wanted to see how you will respond to trouble. Now God is going to give you the recognition, and now God is going to give you the respect that you deserve. You know, so many people see you smiling on the outside but have no clue that you dying on the inside. People have no clue what you go through with family of God. Some of you have been truly struggling. Some of you have been blocked on every side. People saw you smiling and not what you were truly struggling with on the inside. Isn't that something? People saw you smiling. They saw your joy. They saw the laughter. They heard your laughter. But they had no idea. They had no clue what you were really struggling with on the inside. But God is taking this time to repair you from people who drain you and nearly suck the life out of you, and to repair you from the things that have left you fragmented and that have left you broken. There's not going to be anything missing in your life. There's not going to be anything broken in your life. Your peace will be restored. Your joy will be restored. Keep your mind on the Lord, because you will laugh again. You will love again. You will live again. You're not going to die, but you're going to declare the word of the Lord. God said you suffered in silence. They did you so dirty behind closed doors. But God said, for your former shame, He said, I'm going to give you double for your trouble. That's what God is going to do for your family of God. See, some people try to spy on you too, family. See, because you're silent and you're quiet. So you shut down emotionally. Some of you have closed off your spirit from people because of the things you suffer with privately. God wouldn't let you suffer with it publicly. But people prejudge you because you were silent. They're prejudging your quietness. But you had to be quiet. You had to suffer with this between you and God. You couldn't suffer and vocalize it. You couldn't suffer and tell somebody about it. You couldn't, because God wouldn't allow you to do it. Some things we got to bear. The Bible tells us to take up our cross daily. You know what the cross represents? That cross is so much affliction. The cross is so much pain. It's so much trouble. It's so much trauma. It's so much disappointment and hurt. And it feels heavy when you bear your cross. Because the Bible tells us if we don't suffer with Him, we can't reign with God in His kingdom. Take up your cross every day. Bear your cross every day. But did you know what you are struggling with is not permanent? Say it, family. This is not permanent. This is a temporary situation. Listen. This ain't permanent. This is temporary. Just like God let people see you struggle, don't you know God is going to allow people to see you get blessed? Just keep doing what you know you need to do. Life will get difficult. Life will get hard. Life will get challenging. It will. God never promised that it wouldn't. But you just know that you're going to be rewarded publicly. You are. And not only is God going to reward you publicly, God is going to give you a blessing of honor. You've honored so many people that have dishonored you. You've trusted so many people who had no trust for you at all. God said this is why you're going to get a double-fold blessing. God said this is why you're going to get double for your trouble. You're going to get double for all the trouble you had to go through with and come out of. God said, I'm going to make the enemy put some respect on your name. And what is God going to do? He does whatever He wants to do in whatever way He wants, because He's sovereign. He's His own boss. He has nobody to tell Him what to do and how to do it and when to get it done. But what God is going to do for you, and the people will see it. They're going to put some respect on your name, because God will always allow people to see you in a bad spot. Let me tell you something. It's so good to be in a bad spot in life. It's good to be in a tight spot, because you're going to know that you can depend on God. You're going to know that He's going to provide for you. And God is going to show us who's there for us when we're in a tight spot. Anybody can say they're for you whenever you are on a mountaintop. But where are the people when you hit rock bottom? You know, God allowed you to hit rock bottom because God has something to prove to you. And God has something to prove to your enemies, to your haters, and to your opposers, to your adversary. God has something to prove to them. They didn't stop nothing. They didn't stop nothing from happening for you. They didn't stop anything. They didn't block anything. They didn't slow anything down for you. But they did for them, not for you. You will be honored. God said you're not going to go without honor. God said, I'm going to publicly reward you with a double fold blessing for your former shame. Remember the days where you couldn't hold your head up, family, where you were too embarrassed and ashamed to hold your head up because of what you thought people saw you go through with or what they knew you went through with, and you were so embarrassed by that situation because people knew your situation. It's one thing when people don't know your situation, but when people see you in this situation, that's embarrassing. That's shameful. It took away your pride and your dignity and your self-respect. That's what God is coming to restore. And that thing is what God is going to use to reward you with a double fold blessing. And when you get the blessing, remember your creator. Don't lose your head and begin to focus on that stuff God gave you. Don't worship the gifts God gave you. We worship the giver because he is the sustainer of our life. He is the author and he's the finisher of our faith. It's a blessing to come into your homes daily. Jump over to my Instagram at Nikki G McCray and give me your support over there. To those of you who have been with me from day one, thank you. Keep watching these videos for me and hit that like button. If you are believing God, if you know he's well able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that you can ever ask or think, according to the power that works down on the inside of you, hit that like button for me and go back and watch those pre-recorded lives so we can get into the face of people who really need to hear our messages. There's a blessing with your name on it. Just keep standing still so you can see the salvation of the Lord. Talk later.